Claire Paints. Ever heard of them? They're a very new online-based paint company that has come to prominence in the last couple years, and a lot of my subscribers watching have asked me to take a look at them. So that's what we're going to do today. I've assembled 6 paint colors from their collection today that I think will serve a lot of people, and you'll find out why in a second. On this channel, I talk about all paint companies. We're painting and decorating over here, so Claire Paint is no different, except for the fact that they started in 2018 by an interior designer, and guess what? Her name isn't even Claire. It's actually Nicole Gibbons. So she's been on HGTV, The Today Show. I think she's worked with Oprah as well, or maybe on the Oprah Network. And she's created a product that is very much catered to the modern day experience of buying. Online based, kind of a no-nonsense approach to paint. And what's also really cool too is everything is zero VOC. So you know it's environmentally friendly, non-toxic, and apparently really good quality. So to be frank,
Hi, I'm your new Captain Frank.
I can't speak on the quality of the paint from a personal perspective, but I can talk about some of the colors. So let's get into them. These are 6 super versatile neutral paint colors by Claire Paint, going from your basic of the basic to the more intricate ones as we go along. The first one is called Classic, which I think is a great name. It sort of tells you what you're getting yourself into, which is just a very classic, not necessarily traditional color, but classic in the modern sense, let's say. It's a gray. The company does describe it as being a chic beige, and its undertone is warm. Don't really see it being overly warm though. Just based on these renderings, it's pretty much a light gray. It does have a 69 LRV, so that's a pretty light color, which I think is good for the most part. Colors this light are suitable for walls. You can run into some slight issues if there's a room in your home that has a ton of light, like a ton of big windows. This color will maybe feel a bit washed out, but what you do get from that high lightness score is those dimly lit parts of your home. This is going to reflect enough light where it's going to feel pretty airy and open, and I can already tell if you're into the whole Scandinavian sort of design aesthetic, this will really work for you. It's very clean and sleek. Kind of a no-nonsense color, I think, which is why Classic is such a great name. Do I like it more than my best friend Classic Gray from Benjamin Moore? I don't know. Windy City is next up, and this is a color that is kind of in the same vein. It is labeled as being warm as well. It is pretty neutral, and maybe it's warm in the sense that it's not like a blue-gray or anything like that. But what I like about this color is it feels a little more grounded and earthy feeling, like kind of a taupe mix into the gray, like a little bit of that brown aspect that I really like in a color. And it has a 15.9 LRV, so definitely more robust than Classic. It's definitely strong enough to stand on its own. It's going to be noticed, yet it is a neutral at the end of the day, so it's not going to draw your attention based on how vibrant it is. It will kind of fade into the background a bit, depending on how dynamic your furniture and accessories are. It definitely feels a little more warm to me than the last one, but not really warm in the traditional sense. Beijing is a great name. Not Beijing, it's Beijing. We're Beijing today, y'all. We're just having a bit of a beige. So this is an interesting one because it almost seems like it has beige and brown and a little bit of red mixed in too. Almost a bit of a rouge, I would say. Kind of a rougey gray tan color. So there is a lot going on here, which I like. I think colors that tell a few different stories all at once is a good thing. You just want to make sure that the undertones mesh in your space, because if there is a bit of a clash, I think if you have neutrals that lean towards green, they may kind of zig when this color is zagging, if you know what I mean. So just be aware that even though this is neutral, it may be slightly polarizing because of its undertones. But it has that 60 LRV, which is just perfect for interior walls, which I think this color is mainly designed for as an interior paint. And what's great is if you have some intricate wainscoting on your walls that maybe you want to tone down a little bit, you can just continue this color on the wall panels onto those little chair railings and those little pieces of woodwork and trim, because it'll just create a more seamless look, which is exactly what they did in this picture, which is fun. I mean, you could be old school and just go with white trim everywhere, and that's fine as well, but you know, I like this better. Next up, we have neutral territory, and this is funny because I feel like this and Beijing should have swapped names, because this one feels a lot more beige to me. Really warm, almost a creamy sandy tan color, 58 LRV, so a slight bit darker, but you won't really notice that in person because of that added warmth will just make the color feel a little more vibrant and alive, which sort of compensates for that. And it's only a 2-point difference at the end of the day. Pretty negligible, really. This is a color that is a little more in tune with my design sensibility. I love beiges and warm colors, even when I'm dealing with neutrals. So I guess this is my neutral, but I would argue that some of the other colors we talked about earlier are even more neutral because they're closer to the middle temperature-wise and undertone-wise. But this is a color I'm a huge fan of. In fact, if I were to pick one to sort of be my main color, I'd probably gravitate towards this, believe it or not. not. Even though it has a lot of richness to it, it just feels happy to me. Now I want to finish up with two colors, a light color and a dark color. The light one being whipped or whipped.
I tell you what.
Apparently it's their warmest white paint color, and it is pretty white. So it's not like an off-white that camouflages as a white. It has an 88 LRV, so it reflects most of the light that hits it, which could be great on walls, but I sort of see it as your default trim choice. So you would probably want to get it in their trim paint, which just comes in a semi-gloss finish. Again, no nonsense approach. You don't even really need to think about what product to buy. They literally tell you. Trim paint to semi-gloss, wall paint is eggshell. I do get that some people love the white wall aesthetic of kind of an art gallery, hospital feel, I guess you could say. For me, it is a little bit overwhelming when you have such a bright color, a bright white on such large surfaces. And it also, practicality-wise, as a painter, it's going to take you many, many coats to cover it properly. So for me, I recommend whipped mainly as a trim choice, but if you want to use it on walls, why not, right? Next, we have Dirty Chai, which is the darkest color on this neutral list. And some people wouldn't even call this neutral because it is so dramatic and almost like a soft espresso type of color, but it sort of fits in with the other colors because it is based in brown and kind of a dusty, sort of desaturated version of brown, a little closer to dark chocolate versus milk chocolate, if you know what I mean. And this is the color that I would use as the neutral accent color. So if you wanted something to be accentuated within a neutral color palette, this is probably my favorite one that I saw. It's coming in at a 17 LRV, which I think is a pretty decent spot because it's not going to look overly dark where you can't even tell what color it is. It will show its nuance and its undertones, which does share that spicy quality, like, you know, the thing that it was named after. Let me know what your favorite color was of the ones we discussed today. And if there's any other paint company you want me to take a look at, let me know. Here's another company that I talk a lot about. So check this out.